Hi everyone, thank you for coming back to my channel. I'm Stephanie if you're new here. So today's video is going to be a collaboration video with Crystal Lopez. I just did a video with her recently and we did a fridge clean out together. But now we're going to share pumpkin pie with you guys. So this is my third attempt to make this video. The first time that I made the video, the pumpkin pie that I made with the lard crust ended up not turning out, but I also didn't know that you needed to do a certain trick to get it to work. So I just made it again. We just taste tested it today and everything was fine with it, but I forgot to put sugar in my recipe for the pie filling. So we're gonna try this again. So I might add a couple clips in from the other videos that I already did. So this is my third take on making this pie.
It doesn't even taste like pumpkin.
It doesn't?
Yeah. It doesn't have a taste.
It doesn't?
Yeah. Taste some.
Weird.
It's little. I don't even... Can't taste pumpkin. Yesterday it had way more flavor.
Weird. Did I forget to put the sugar in it?
Did you?
I don't know. I probably forgot to put the sugar in it. We're gonna do another attempt to make this pumpkin pie. I'm gonna get the crust together today and put it in the fridge, and then I will put the pie together tomorrow. So if you guys have made homemade pie crust before, it's pretty similar to a lot of recipes. So we're just gonna go with one of the recipes that I found, and this one calls for butter and lard. So we're gonna do both. So it's 2.5 cups of flour. So that's what I'm gonna add first. And let's see if I can get this to cooperate. Okay, so this one just calls for a teaspoon of salt. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of salt in there, and then we're gonna do half a cup of butter. And then for the lard, you're also gonna do a half a cup of lard. So equal parts when it comes to that. I guess you could probably almost do like a cup of lard if you want to, if you don't want to use butter for this. Also, what the recipe calls for is 1 egg. So I'm gonna add an egg into this. To the pie crust was I added 1 egg to this, and I added the salt, so a teaspoon of salt, a half cup of lard, half cup of butter, and then I added about 1 or 2 tablespoons of ice cold water, and then 2.5 cups of flour. So what I did to the last crust is I put it on the plastic wrap and I covered it, and then I rolled it out a little bit. I don't know if that made it work a little bit better than if you were to just put it in a ball. When I tried doing it with the ball, I didn't have a lot of luck with like rolling it out very well. So if you guys have any, tips on how to do this better, but this recipe so far turned out really good in the last pie crust. So maybe I'll put a little picture right here and you guys can see how that one turned out. But what I did to make it work too is I put it in the fridge overnight, and that worked out so much better than just letting it sit for a couple hours. Okay, so for the pie filling, I'm gonna give you two different options. So the first recipe that I went with was 3/4 cup of sugar. This one is sweetened condensed milk. So that's what I'm gonna do for this one. I will leave both recipes for both pies that I tried in the description, but we're gonna go with this one. So this one is your 15-ounce can of pumpkin pie filling. So add that quick. All right, I'm gonna do the condensed milk, sweetened condensed milk.
And then
For the salt, it is 1/4 of a teaspoon. And then for the pumpkin pie spice, 1.5 teaspoon. And then for the vanilla, it's a teaspoon of vanilla. Okay, so a teaspoon of vanilla, and then you need 2 eggs. Here's my pie crust. I let this cool. So I put this I let it cool first, then I put it in the fridge for a little bit. Now I'm gonna put the pie filling in. So when I first did the first one, I put it in when this was still a little warm, and that was a very, very bad idea. So I'm giving you guys information on how to make homemade pie, and don't do the mistakes that I did when I made the pie. So hopefully I can correct some of that and you guys don't have a bad pumpkin pie. So far with making the crust in the oven with a pan in there, like a heated pan in there, that works out really good when you're making homemade pie. So I still have to cook this. I'm going to put foil around it so the crust doesn't get any darker. The first time I made it, that actually didn't get as brown as this one. But I was doing some other stuff and it ended up cooking like a minute or two longer than I wanted it to. So we're just gonna pour this in. So if you don't want to add the sweetened condensed milk because you just want to use sugar, you can just do that. And that should work out good because that's what I used in the other one. So I'm just gonna move this around. Okay, so that's what that looks like. I'm gonna put this in for, I think it's 40 to 50 minutes, but I'm gonna keep an eye on it because I don't want that crust to get dark. I also am going to be putting some milk and stuff around the crust of the pie. Okay, so I just pulled out the pie. So I ended up putting the leaves on top a little bit later, so that's why they're not as brown as the other one. But I think I like how that looks anyways. It just adds another color to the pie. So I did put foil around it as I was cooking it. I ended up having to cook it for about 40 to 50 minutes with this recipe. So I will leave this recipe for this one to be the first one in the description. I'll also maybe even add it to the comments if I remember, so you guys can check out 2 different options on making these pies. I'll give you probably 2 different recipes also with the homemade pie crust too. So with the pie crust, I did a half a cup of butter, and then a half a cup of lard. So if you want, you could do a full cup of either one to make the crust if you don't have the lard. So I'm happier with how this one turned out versus the other 2 that turned out. Even though the other 2 pies, I'll put them right here. I'll put the picture like right in this corner. They both turned out really, really pretty, but it wasn't about that because like I said, I forgot to put the sugar in this last time. But this one, I have faith in this one, that this one is going to taste a lot better. So I kind of switched things around when it came to the recipe so I could kind of make it my own, and I can just go off of my own recipe. I wrote it all down, so we're just going to, the recipe I'm going to share with you guys is going to be what I put together for this pie. And then the other ones I'll share with you in a different, like I'll just put it below and I'll label it something else. But for the store-bought crust, I did that, and then I did the same filling. No, actually, this is a different filling. So I will give you the recipe for both of them with the filling. I'm kind of all over with that. So with this one, it was the condensed milk. You could just do sugar, 3/4 cup sugar instead of the condensed milk, and that is what the other recipe is. So either recipe is going to taste really good because when we tasted it originally with the first one that I made that I added the sugar, it tasted really, really good. So it was just a crust that we were having problems with. But now that I know that you need to make, when you do your crust, you need to have your pan in the oven when you preheat. That changes everything. That works out great. And then letting it cool down before you add the pie filling. So when I looked it up, it was saying that if you don't do that, it makes, or the crust soaks up all your pie filling, and that's why the crust gets gooey. So now that I know that, now I'll be able to make it this way. And this is going to be a nice flaky crust. I think it turned out really, really nice. We will taste test it and see how it tastes. It's warm right now, so we're not going to taste it on this video, but I'm pretty sure it's going to taste good now. So, all right. So don't forget to go check out Crystal Lopez's channel. Like I said, I will leave that in the description and also in the comments, and go check out how she makes her pie. And then come back to me and let me know that you guys checked out her channel. And also when you go check out her video, can you comment in her video that you came over from my channel? Just go over to her channel and just go check out all the things that she has to offer over there. So, all right. So hopefully you guys liked today's video. Don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.